Yeah, but you're supposed to be 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the OpTic Topic.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Yo guys, what's going on? My name is Seth, and this is the OpTic Topic. We're back, finally, with school coming up. We mentioned this in previous episodes. It's going to be a little bit slower. Just not only did each one of us start school at different times, but our schedules all mixed up. And then we tried recording before, and there are some issues in there. Anyway,
twice. We recorded twice, and somebody who isn't on the podcast today messed up twice.
Yeah.
So we should have had 2 podcasts out. But
Ben is no longer going to be with us. It would be funny if I didn't tell him about this. No, but he will. He just couldn't make it on for this episode. But
and hopefully that's what we'll do more often. Is we want to get one out at least by like every other week, and hopefully if we're just gonna plan them, and if one person can't make it, then it is what it is. Because usually like 2 of us are available, but one of us can't make it. So that's what we're probably gonna try and do from now on. Maybe look at new members, but we'll see what we decide from now on. But yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, we're back, and it's a great time too because we just got like twice as many members of OpTic in all the teams. And yesterday the league spot was announced. Tomorrow, by the way, for everyone celebrating American Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. And so like a lot going on right now, and it's such a great time to be an OpTic fan because a lot of stuff is going on. A lot of not only like esports side, but like behind the scenes esports stuff, which is really interesting. Which we're going to get into in this episode, but
yeah,
we just want to put that stuff out up front, and we are going to be doing it more regularly, especially with the winter break coming up. With that being said, let's get into it. So first off, since the last time,
it's been a while.
A lot of stuff has happened, so we're not going to go over everything because most of you guys know that, but we're going to go over the big stuff. So one, everyone knows like the CS team, those changes. We're going to talk about how they're doing and whatnot later on. But then we got leaked information that OpTic had applied for a spot in the LCS with the franchising. And then also that they applied for the Overwatch League and had a spot.
Yeah.
And then while on the next vision, we were waiting to hear from that. And the Dota team was announced out of nowhere, which there were no leaks, which everyone was hyped for. We actually have some reactions from that. Mine wasn't planned to be recorded, and Jordan's wasn't too much.
Mine was just like me smiling. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, that's usually how I am too, but I was in the middle of a game, and I just like freaked out. Ben's is pretty good. I may or may not include that right now if the audio is too bad. If not, then it's not really
welcome back.
But yeah, so that was crazy, and then we all kind of knew that the league spot was coming up.
Yeah.
But they weren't allowed to
PUBG
announce any
well.
things with like NDA disclosures or whatnot. So yesterday it was announced that we actually have the spot now, but we do not have a team yet, which kind of happened with Overwatch, and everyone was like kind of pissed that we didn't get any information. But we should be getting that information somewhat soon, and we have a lot of new members. So right now, OpTic Gaming is now under Infinite Esports. Jordan, you want to explain all that because I've been talking?
Well, Infinite Esports is owned by the Cowboys. The owner of the Cowboys, I believe. Is that true?
No.
Rangers.
Yeah, Rangers.
Sorry, I'm not into American sports. But the Rangers, they're both Dallas teams, okay? Right? The Dallas Rangers, whatever.
I don't follow that.
And anyway, the owner of the Rangers created basically a holding company that is basically going to be trying to get into companies that are esports related. So buying shares in these companies and then helping run them and create a bigger corporation and make money. So they actually bought a majority in OpTic. So now OpTic is not wholly owned by Hex. So currently the ownership of OpTic is underneath Infinite Esports. Or Infinite Gaming, I don't know what it's called. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see how that runs. OpTic really won't change very much as a whole because what Hex has been doing has been extremely successful for the past couple of years. So it would be silly for them to mess around with how it's been working. It just means that now we have the financial backing to do things such as the LCS, the Overwatch League, Dota 2, all those those kind of financial investments would have never been possible, especially not all at the same time, especially PUBG as well. So there's 4 esports we've gotten into so recently that kind of financial backing would have not been possible under just Hex by himself. And
I will say though,
the Rangers owner himself,
because everyone's really psyched. You there, Jordan? Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of psyched with the expansion, and everyone was kind of nervous that Hex doesn't own a majority of it, and now it's someone who's not really into the esports scene that much, and Hex trusts him, so we should trust him too.
Yeah.
And it would be kind of stupid on their part to not trust someone that's grown the company and that has been in esports for a while. So you have to know that Hex has a lot of power still.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, there's some give and take with that, because they want to expand. They want to be in the LCS. They want to get their investment back.
Mm-hmm.
And
for sure.
So with them expanding, to me, I'm not complaining about this. I'm just saying it goes kind of against why a lot of people are fans of OpTic, because it was a small group at first. You know what I mean? We had the COD team, then we got a Halo team. We got to learn those members before we got a CS team. We learned those members, saw them grow, and then we got the new Halo team. And then it was like a team at a time, right? And then the Gears team as well. And then all of a sudden, we have 4 new teams. And not only that, the amount of members of OpTic have like doubled, if not more than doubled, in players and managers alone. And we don't even have the full league roster yet. And so we just like doubled in size. And so we didn't really have a chance to just watch the Dota team grow and then watch the Overwatch League. Now we kind of thrown all of it at once, which I'm not sure if I'm upset with or not. I'm just saying that it's different, right?
It's going to take an adjustment,
Yeah, so it's change, and everyone's always worried about change. So I'm not sure how to take that change, and I'm excited because I've wanted to get into League for so long, and me personally, I just need to play the game to get into it, because there's a lot to it. I don't know what all the lines mean in a team fight.
I played both League and Dota 2, so I enjoyed them.
So
both.
like now I have reason, and I've tried like 3 times, so now I have like another reason to try doing it, and so like that's a good thing, and I'll be happy to cheer for OpTic. But it's just different and a lot of change that a lot of people aren't used to, but a lot of people seem to be taking it very positively. So
definitely.
So that's good, because people like this growth. And I know a lot of people though weren't totally sold on the PUBG aspect, and in the last division, if you were looking at the chat live, I'm not sure if you got a chance to catch it live, Jordan, but everyone was like OpTic Rocket League, which is a lot of people were expecting, but like they're like OpTic Solitaire, OpTic this, which I'm not sure if it was just like sarcasm, like, oh, you got a bunch of new teams, that's awesome, let's get like these, or if people are actually complaining. But I've seen some people unsure about like the expansion, which don't hate on them for that, because it's not something they're used to. Change is is a very common fear, but it's a new step for OpTic. We're going to a new age of OpTic, which is crazy, and it's just awesome. Like I said, we double in size, so it's gonna be very interesting.
I think it's important to take 2 things into account. One is OpTic has always been that very like family oriented business, and like with this great expansion, so many people are like, oh no, are we losing that? But I think how Hex runs it is still going to be the same, and we're still going to get what is huge to OpTic is that like more of the social media kind of like content creation from every player on like a lot of the teams. Like Hex pushes that super hard, and I think that's the thing that makes it so much different. Like the connection we get to like our COD players, our CSGO players is really good, and I think Hex is going to still try and keep that. So I still think people shouldn't worry too much. And then of course like Hex not being in charge, I mean Hex is a wise man, so if he made the decision to sell the majority of OpTic, he obviously knew what he was doing, and he wouldn't have done it if he would lose all that control and OpTic would change. So
I will also
people just have to keep that in mind.
I will also mention it kind of creates a sort of checks and balances, because one thing, we do have a lot of funding, which is what we need. You know what I mean? One of the reasons why I think Hex was unsure to join like CSGO is like that's a big step into a big esport. There's a lot of money thrown around, and he mentioned Envision. That's why he didn't get into the league, because there was so much money, and to get that investment, he wasn't sure of.
It was a risky investment because he's like, if we lose our spot after putting that kind of money in, then we just wasted our time. But now that their investments are more solid, they're able to be sure that they're not gonna waste their investment and they're gonna get a return in some sort of way.
Yeah, and by getting that and having someone that is concerned about the financial aspect and getting their money back, I think that's some checks and balances. Because one thing that you saw a lot of is people saying, "Why is Maniac still an OpTic? Why is Embo still an OpTic? What do they do?" And people are like, "Oh, Hex is too concerned about like family and friends. He doesn't want to go for the business aspect." But then obviously people love the family and friends thing. You know, like there's still people that love Maniac and is like their favorite member and Embo's. So it creates sort of checks and balances. You know what I mean? Like maybe if Hex is concerned like that, which there's no proof that he is or not, that he doesn't want to like replace someone on a spot, like the parent company will be like, hey, no, we want to get investment back. If this isn't working, we need a change. So it does create checks and balances, which I think is going to be a very big positive in the future.
Definitely, I agree. And I think that's what we'll see. And I don't think people should worry too much. Obviously, OpTic is growing massively. And I guess a big problem in the fan base that I've seen even people talking on Reddit about is that everyone's like, I as an OpTic member like to be a fan of everything, and there's just overwhelming amount of stuff that I have to get into now. And it's important, don't feel like you have to learn every esport in OpTic, especially not all at once. Take your time, learn one at a time. Don't even like, if you don't find one of them that interesting, don't get involved in it. There's so many teams now that you shouldn't feel like you have to be like watch every single one to be part of OpTic. Like when I started watching OpTic, it was obviously just like a COD team, and then Halo obviously came. Even up until recently, it was just a Halo COD, and then I got into Gears of War and CS as well. And that was easy to kind of keep track of everything, but now with even more teams, it's hard to keep track of everything, but you don't have to. Like, fans just have to be aware that watch what you want to, support what you want to, and that's fine. You're still supporting OpTic, you're still supporting the brand, you just don't have to support every team. If you don't have an interest in PUBG, and you don't think you ever will, don't. If you're interested in it, then take time to learn it. Like, learning OpTic, like learning Dota, League of Legends, Overwatch, and PUBG all at once is overwhelming. Just take your time for like one of them. Choose like League, and once you learn League, obviously that'll help you understand Dota. So just kind of take your time. Don't feel rushed to learn everything. Just enjoy the experience. You know, we're all along this ride of OpTic Gaming, I guess you could call it. It's a fun ride of watching the company grow and expand, and I mean, I'm loving it so far. The Overwatch League is in my city for OpTic, so it's in Houston, so that's gonna be even more fun for me. So I think just enjoy it like as we can. Be good fans. Don't hate on people too much. Just kind of go for it, you know.
Well said. I will say, well said. Exactly. Especially with you mentioned like you don't have to follow every sport. Like if you look at traditional sports, you know, like you may look at like maybe you do follow all the four main teams. I'm going to use Philly as an example, right? You watch the Eagles, the Flyers, the Sixers, but do you watch the Union, right? The MLS? Do you watch? There's like a tennis team, like the Revolution or something. You don't watch those, and you don't have to. But if you go to that tennis match, you know what I mean, you're gonna root for that team. If you don't watch football, American football, but you watch a Super Bowl, you're gonna root for your team. So you have a team there if you want to. But with that relationship to traditional sports, I think that's a good segue into the Overwatch League.
Yep.
And everything that's going on with that. So, like I mentioned earlier, we didn't know the roster that was happening, and then we got the people. And what's interesting about the Overwatch League is a lot of people are unsure about how it's going to actually work out. If you're not aware, they have teams from all over the world, right? And so it's not just like the LCS, how it's North America. So they have a bunch of teams from all over the world. In the second like they're all housing in somewhere in California. I want to say LA, and then the second season they're all going to be playing out of their own spots. So they're going to be going places. It's like it was a $20 million investment for the spot.
Extremely expensive.
Yeah, it was more than the League of Legends spot, and there's
probably the biggest risk in esports that OpTic have ever taken. Well, not maybe ever, but as far as like right now, out of the 4 esports we just got into, League and Dota are both very secure investments, I guess you could say. Since they've been around so long, the tier 1 esports, definitely.
Especially League with the franchising, you're guaranteed
exactly.
a spot in the league.
PUBG wasn't as expensive, so I mean, it's just getting into a pretty popular well, not that popular, but growing esport. Then Overwatch is a massive risk. The price that goes into that Overwatch is incredible, and if it flops, that's a huge loss in investment. So I don't know. I think I'm glad we did it, and I think it will pan out to be successful. But I don't know. How do you feel?
When I first heard of the Overwatch announcement, right? Obviously that came with the league, and I was thinking it was just Overwatch. That'd be a good segue because that's a first-person shooter into the League of Legends thing, and I think it would be a good way to expand. And with Overwatch, the thing with it is that it's super new, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of criticisms with the gameplay alone, right? So first of all, it being new, there hasn't been too many like LAN tournaments, and there has been a lot of like online tournaments and a couple LAN tournaments here and there that have shown skill, but it's still new esport. And the other thing is the spectating, right? Because you play in first person, but it's kind of MOBA-esque, right? So the map's
yeah, definitely.
long,
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, and watching the game can be confusing. But I mentioned before that I've been trying to get in a league, and I know how it works. I know how you have the minions, you have the towers you have to take down, you have to destroy the nexus, the inhibitors. I know all of that, but the confusing part is, for me, is when there's team battles, I see like an ice wall come down or something blocking someone off, or someone's slowing down. I don't know who's casting that, what the actual effect does. Does it just slow them? Does it damage them, or what? And I think that's the same thing with Overwatch, right? And so there's a lot of people that play League and Overwatch. So if they're saying that Overwatch is more complicated, then so be it. But from my point of view, I also play Overwatch, so I'm biased in that aspect. But I think it's just as confusing, and they've gone through a lot of steps to improve this spectator mode. And the Overwatch World Cup may have been the greatest thing that's happened to their chances of success, because if you watch it was the first day of matches, the Korean versus USA match, which was the quarterfinals, which people were expecting to be the finals, but you know how random draws work.
Oh yeah, definitely
bullshit. But that match, people were calling the best match of Overwatch played, or the best map played on like Hanamura. That was an insane match, and the showcase of the different team uniforms they're going to be having for the players, I think was, if anything was going to help them like prove how well it could be, it was that. And although it was during BlizzCon, so they're going to have a boost in viewership anyway.
Oh, definitely. A massive
I
boost.
think having that intense game and having the atmosphere of people cheering for it is going to be great, because like Korea is like super good, and it was an underdog story, and America, who is like, I'm not trying to be like biased living in America, but like a lot of the world's media revolves around the United States.
No, definitely. I mean, I'm from England, and I can definitely agree with that.
England is your city.
England is my city, dude. Yeah, so. But yeah, definitely. And a lot. What is it? 3 of the OpTic members were on the Team USA's roster.
That's what I was gonna say. Yes, 3 people were on that team that were there, and we also have some really great players, and a lot of the people in there like just seem to fit the OpTic brand so much. Like Mendo Kusai.
I think he was it Mendo.
He was not on the World Cup spot, but like he seems to fit the brand like so well.
Definitely.
And then Jake, like like because there wasn't as much experience, he was on the team, and he's like a shot caller, and he's a DPS player, and like he proved himself. He was absolutely insane. I'm not sure if anyone watched it, but like playing in that, like before that they had interviews, like he's like, this is my chance to prove what I could do. Dude, he was absolutely insane.
Numa is super talented as well.
Yeah, and like, so I'm actually really psyched because I think it's going to be close to the CSGO team, the old CSGO team, where they're a good NA team. They have some European players in there, but they're going to be the underdogs against the Asian powers, against the Korean teams like the Spitfire and that play in London, and the Excelsiors or something like that in New York. I believe both of them are pure Korean teams. So they're probably not going to be the best, but they're going to have the underdog story.
Definitely. And I mean, I was watching Muma's stream a couple weeks ago, and he said like Envy's going to be huge competition. I mean, they have Seagull, they have like
not Envy.
Not Envy?
Fuel.
Sorry, Dallas Fuel, whatever. Man, I'm so used to traditional esports. Whatever. the Dallas Fuels are going to be a massive, especially, I mean, it's still going to be a massive rivalry. And he was like, I think that on paper, what he said was that he thought on paper they actually may have had like a stronger roster than the Fuel, but like it's all about how they have their chemistry and how they merge. So I think that's interesting to see that as a player, he thought that even though they do have like flashy players, I guess like Siegel, incredible player, that it's going to be interesting that we do still have a very strong roster. It's just how they end up playing together, you know?
Yeah,
so I'm excited.
Yeah, same. I'm also going to mention that like with the Korean like dominance, like any Korean, it seems like oh, you have a Korean team, you get like +10, right? We do have, I don't know how it works. We have 3 coaches. I'm not sure how it works, but 2 of them are Korean, and I know that players and the Koreans have a bunch of technical skill, but we're going to have, from what I can tell, like good coaching. From what people have said, I haven't followed the coaches, but I hear like the coaches are really good, especially one of them. And like I said, the players we have are good. I'm not sure what the format is going to be like because the league, this is going to be the main league. There are so many players. Some players weren't able to make it in the league, which was unfortunate. But we have more players. I'm going to do a count real quick. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
It's in my bank account. Sorry, continue.
We have 9 players, and it's a 6-man roster, right? Some have like 12. So I guess in between games they're going to have like swaps if you want, which you see in like league and whatnot. But it's just gonna be interesting, especially in this game. I feel weird saying traditional esports. I feel weird saying that, but that's usually how it is. Like you only have those members, and then you don't really have a sub in between games.
Yeah.
But really psyched for Overwatch League. I play it a lot, and it's either going to be a huge success, well, it's either going to be a success or a failure. And as an esports fan, you just got to look at it and be like, okay, well, if it works, it works. If not, we know that this doesn't work, because there's been a huge attempt in esports to try get into traditional media, getting on TV.
Yeah.
But I'm not sold. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I'm not sold on if it's actually meant to be on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the fact that you might have a second best of 5. American football, their overtime is super short, and people say it's unfair all the time. But that's because they have to meet certain standards. So having on Twitch, where you can go on as long as you want.
As long as you want. It's perfect. And I mean, you're still getting massive viewership. And it's honestly the perfect platform. Television itself is not necessarily... It is kind of like a dying media.
It's old, dude.
With internet being so easily accessible and just being able to pull it up, and even with like Apple TV or something, just throw your screen up on your television screen, having it on actual television is slowly becoming less and less needed.
A lot of programs you can watch online anyway.
Exactly. So is it necessary? I don't really think so. Will it happen? Probably eventually. I think it's kind of inevitable, but it's kind of like when you had radio and then came out the television, like television took over from radio, but radio still exists. But the popularity definitely shifted towards television. And now everything's shifting towards the internet. Will the television disappear? Probably not. But it's going to be, I think, majorly, especially looking at the age ranges that watch esports right now. I mean, obviously, I think as it becomes more popular, older people will. But right now, it's definitely geared towards a bit of a younger audience, maybe from like the ages 14 to like 21. And that is a very... those people are going to be watching it on like their laptops and such. And I think it just is geared perfectly for the internet, and it just fits just right. I mean, especially like look at COD. If you look at Call of Duty during the World Championships, they have a great viewer there that shows you all the stats from all the teams. You can choose points of view to watch from them only. So like during Call of Duty Championships, if I just wanted to watch Scum play, I could choose his point of view. I could see his KD, all his stats from every game, how OpTic have been playing, and it was all in one view, an enhanced view. And that's perfect. And it's not going to happen like that on TV, at least not conveniently.
There's no interactivity on TV.
Exactly. So I think the internet is kind of the future, and I think it's already, like MLG's already done a great job of it, and I think they also have that in like E-League, right?
Yeah, and other places have experimented with that, and then there's obviously some in-game clients where you can like spectate one player and whatnot.
Oh yeah, like CS:GO has that. Like for mages, you can go in there and you can even get like supply drops for watching it in game. And I got one of those last time.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Speaking of CS:GO majors, I think it's a good transition.
Great.
Yeah, I'm on a roll today. For the CS:GO team.
Yeah.
So obviously there was the roster debacle that happened, and we got the what people call the discount phase. And it's a new team, and like it's weird because it's online CS. It was 2 best of 1s in league, and we ended up finishing first in the ESL Pro League.
Yeah.
Also in the ESL Pro League, we may have finished second. Our last match was against SK, who was in second, and they had a forfeit. I believe they're going to or from an event or something.
Yeah.
But still, finishing second is good, but it's also online and best of 1s, and we also qualified for ECS finals. But then going to some of the lands, we went to the minor, I believe was first, and we rolled through the teams that you haven't heard of. But then we were expected to come out on first, right? The only 2 teams that might take a map, if they were to take a map, were Space Soldiers and Envy. And we went up against Space Soldiers, and I think one game we did really well. One game they stomped us, and then one game we lost in overtime. And people were just shocked, Space Soldiers are doing really well. And then we couldn't beat Envy. All they had to do was play second. I thought we were at least going to play second. And then we went to the I by Power, I think it was next. And then we underperformed against Renegades and other teams. But again, they were saying, oh, well, Renegades overperformed. Which, not going to lie, they have. Nifty went harder than I've ever seen him. But even there, there was definitely people underperforming. Even some of the top analysts. I listen to Thorin quite often. Even he said OpTic was expected to was to win that. I'm going to speak for Ben here because Ben was getting into not an argument, but he was giving the counter argument where he was saying, no, they're a new team, and I know they're a new team. I'm not saying that they have to win these games, but I think it's expected that even they can win some of these games, and not just some, but they should be able to be more confident in these games. The games they're winning, even against teams that they should be winning, are 16, 14 games, really close games. Yeah. And it just I'm not sold on how they're doing it, and they are a new team. I feel like they should have a little bit more success. I'm not expecting them to win everything. I'm not expecting all that. I don't have high expectations. But even in game, even the rounds they win, how they're winning those rounds, just a questionable. You know what I mean? There's definitely multiple misplays. You know what I mean? Yeah. That you can see even if they win a map, there's misplays in there, and how they're playing just seems a little bit off, right? Yeah. And so I haven't watched all of the online CS where they finished first. I'm not sure if it's the same or if it's just because it's online, but it's questionable. And even in Vision, I'm not sure if they did this on purpose, but you saw it, Jordan, on Vision, it seemed like they almost were going to drop someone, and Hex kind of alluded to it, saying things don't improve.
He's if it doesn't improve, we won't be willing to drop people. Yeah. I think looking at this team, I think one of 2 things are going to happen. One, they're going to change roles, and it's really, really going to do good. Because I think Mixwell going to Op is needed. I know he hated it, and he didn't like it, but he's got to do it. He's so talented. His rifling skills just are more questionable. And then Alu, obviously, changing out. I think I'm really happy with Mixwell going to Op. I think he'll be perfect there. I think Alu and Freiburg I'm really happy with. Magis, I forgot how to say his name in HS. Is it Magis that's gone off recently?
No one pronounces it the same way. Some people say Magis. Some people say Magis.
Yeah. Either way, I think when it's coming down to the CS team, either this change of roles will work really well, or if not, I think they just need one player that will just mix up how they're playing. Because I feel like the talent is mostly there. I feel like they're just missing that extra oomph, they have the pieces, they're just missing a piece. And if the roles are the thing that they're missing, then I think that'll really show. And if not, then I think we're just missing that one player that'll bring everything together. Because we definitely have the talent. Look at Mixwell, look at Alu, look at Freiburg. I mean, these are all talented people. I mean, Magis. They're all talented. I just feel like there's something off about how they work together as a team. And I feel like bringing 1 or 2 more people on, maybe for HS, maybe.
You just got a bunch of dislikes there.
I know. Maybe even like, I mean, I like what Freiburg's doing with the team. He's a new IGL though. You could always see him going out, maybe bringing in someone like Stanislaw. Obviously, I know that also more dislikes. But I think most people wouldn't necessarily be against the idea of that. I mean, he's been shaky lately though, so that's also a questionable pickup. So I don't know. Something's got to change. I was definitely giving them the benefit of the doubt in the past couple weeks. I've been like, they're a new team. They're still improving, but I feel like as time goes on and we keep seeing these performances, it's going to be a bit more questionable. But I mean, if you look at their standings, they have moved up to 15th in the HLTV rankings.
They were like 30 like the week
and
before.
they came 5th, 6th at IEM Oakland, so that's better.
But even that wasn't even like very
but
clear.
Not the best. Yeah.
In my opinion, how they beat the teams, like I was saying before, isn't great. And just to touch on what you're talking about before with like with the talent on the team, the talent is there, but it's like you can't have I'm going to use soccer or American football or not American football, soccer or football.
Or football, yeah.
But like you can't have like the entire team be goalies, and you can't have the entire team be strikers, right? You pick any possession in any sport. Just because there's a lot of talent on the team doesn't mean that they mix well.
Yeah, mix well.
I've tried to not say that so many times on the show, but just because there's a lot of talent doesn't mean that they perform as a unit as well. And but yeah, so like if there's a change needed, right? And I know you need time, right? But definitely. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I feel like other teams that have been new rosters have been able to see more success, or at least more clear success. And obviously, definitely. You guys people are going to disagree with us, which is fine. No one has the same view on this topic.
Yeah.
But it's just tricky because we had a great team stand left, and as soon as the rest of the players leave and we have to build around Mixwell, Stan gets dropped from Liquid. And like seeing that tweet from Mixwell, you saw a tweet from Mixwell?
Yeah, I saw that.
Like saying you should have never left, and it was just sad, saying like because they could have gone farther, and like I know even I was skeptic of them before. I'm like, I know they're not gonna keep winning, but they did keep on winning, and after time they proved it, and I guess Stan didn't believe in it, and he left, and it took like 7 months or something, but then we finally had to, but. It's just unfortunate how it happened, and Hex pretty much said they have 2 more events this year. If those events we don't see good results, there is a very good chance that we'll have other changes come in.
Yeah.
I definitely think Mixwell is safe.
Yeah, definitely.
Magisk
I think after what he's been through, I think Hex almost owes it to him to at least try to build the team around him. I don't think like you can only do that for so long, but with the amount of talent that he has as an AWPer, as long as he's AWPing, I think he'll always have a spot on this team. Because even you saw Fallen say that he thinks that he can compete with almost anyone with an AWP. I mean, obviously maybe like Device and Fallen, those are gonna be 2 of the people that it's gonna be way harder for him to compete with. But for most AWPers, I think Mixwell is easily capable of taking over with that and having star performances, and it's gonna be more interesting to see how he does while he's in Europe.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned before about like about Mixwell and like building around him. Hex even said in the last vision that you take a player, and instead of just grabbing people that you like, you take a player.
Wait, wasn't that someone else who said that?
It may have been.
It was the new League of Legends manager or coach. I don't know.
Oh, was it? I think it was in that conversation. Then I don't know.
Yeah,
it was in that segment, but they were saying that like instead of just taking a bunch of players, you take a player, say who do you want to play with. So not who's the best player, but who's the best player that you can play well with. Yeah. And then saying you 2 people, who's the next player, and then so on and so forth. that's a better way how to do it. So they build around Mixwell, and so he took those players. So if we continue that,
Yeah,
and
you
say
build
we've got
around a player,
Mixwell,
and then
Magisk, and
you-
Freiburg, who you guys want to play around?
Yeah.
What was that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, sorry, you cut out there for a second, but yeah, pretty much you just take a player, they choose the next, then that player chooses the next person, then that player that they picked chooses the next person, and they're all responsible for the team. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they do.
Yeah, because you don't want like people like fights in the team, internal issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. And speaking of internal issues, Mixwell's going back home, which I know has been a problem. Like we thought multiple times that he was going to leave the team because he felt not at home and whatnot, and we went through everything, bringing his girlfriend over and whatnot. But now he's going back home, be able to play from Europe, which is good, and hopefully we see improvements with him, like psychologically being back home and whatnot, and it'll be really cool. And now they can play from Europe and having him home and having everyone happy instead of all the traveling they had to do. I know that's another thing that people say, they're not performing well because everyone's been saying they're the most active team. Not only playing, because like when you have a new team, you start from lower down. It's not like you're just dropping a player or two.
Definitely.
You drop down. You have to qualify through qualifiers to qualify for that qualifier, and then they also have to fly back and forth because they're playing from NA. Now, did they say that they're going to be able to play from the next like online leagues from Europe?
I'm not sure. We'll see what happens.
I'm not sure because that's going to be pain if like the next ESL and ECS they have to. I think I remember saying something that they're trying to get into the European leagues, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But that's been a hot topic, with a lot of debate over it as well. And almost, I'm not going to say that it's not justified there or that it is, but like you see other teams. I mean, obviously the Dota doesn't have too much experience either, but they've had up and down results. I mean, I guess not as bad. They've placed, I think, at least 4th at every event they've been to, even though some have been online. But I think also not as many people. It's a newer one, so not as many people follow it. Because I know a lot of people started following the CS team because of OpTic having a CS team. So
yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm not sure what's the next event coming up.
For CS or Dota?
Yeah, CS.
I'm not sure. I know they have 2 coming up. I know they qualified for ECS finals. I'm not sure when that is.
Are we in the ESL Pro League final? Season 6 finals?
Yeah, we are.
So that'll come up on the 5th of December, so that's what's next. And then the ECS finals are on the 15th. So let's just hope we can put up a good performance there. Those are the last 2 events, right?
Yeah, of the year they said. I'm
yeah,
not
so
looking for
that'll be
a
interesting.
win. I'm not looking for a win.
No.
I'm just looking for improvement. If we win, better. You know what
Imagine the scenes. OpTic,
dude, not gonna lie, I was not expecting the E-League win. I was not expecting.
Definitely not. That was insane. I remember watching it. I was on, what was it, CBS or I don't remember what it was, but I was watching it on TV and TBS. That's what it was, dude. Absolutely insane. But yeah, just hope for the best. And I mean, that's all we can really say for right now. See how them changing the team up goes. If it works, I'm a huge fan of it, and I want them to keep the roster, obviously. If they don't pick it up a bit more, yeah, I think we're gonna see some changes, and it's gonna be interesting to see what we see.
It's also a new team. Like when we had Jason R, he was like a fill-in, like he was a stand-in. He's not gonna stay on the team if we find someone better. So the team is still kind of new. So in that sense, it's not like, I know people are gonna feel bad because people love HS's hair and whatnot. But like when Tarek left, you know what I mean? It was sad because we all like grew to know him and love him and whatnot. But yeah, they're still new, and I there's no tenure on the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except Mixwell. So that's interesting. But we're just gonna wait for the next events and then report back on that. The other first-person shooter, COD World War II.
CS, yeah, we just talked about them. But yeah, COD World War II. I've been keeping up with them a lot. I don't know how much you've been keeping up with them, but that's.
I've been trying. As best I can. I haven't got a chance to watch a single 2K. I've watched a couple like VODs and maps. But OpTic has been winning. They've been doing well. The game modes. I'm not sure because I haven't watched an event. I know I think the last online tournament. I'm not sure if it was 2K. Like they played Respawn only. That OpTic won. They were in the finals of. They seem to be doing really well in like every game mode. and it not being boots on the ground. I called it before. With it being boots on the ground, if it's anything like Ghost or Black Ops 2, the last 2 boots on the ground ones, they're just going to expect a lot of championships.
Yeah.
But the roster mania, there are some good looking teams, especially like NB with their young players. If they're as good as they were before, that's going to be scary. A lot of other couple teams. Do you know?
Definitely.
Like, we don't know the game modes yet. So how do they have a weak game mode? I haven't been able to watch too much.
All right. So let me give you kind of my summary of OpTic COD, as I've been watching it a lot. Okay, so COD is the first esport I ever got into personally, and it was through Nadeshot, obviously, when I used to watching him on YouTube, and then getting into esports. I didn't even know they existed. So COD will always hold something special in my heart, even if I didn't like the games. IW was trash, but I still watched it because, I don't know, when you start with something like that, it was my first experience with esports, and I just grew with it. And I love, like, with the players and everything. If it wasn't for the personalities, I wouldn't stay with COD, but I did. So
that's why people love OpTic. That's like the first team.
So now let's get into OpTic and the performance in it. So watching scrims, we definitely started off very, very dominant. We've had a couple shaky days more recently. Not necessarily that we played worse. The meta just slightly shifted, and we had to figure out how we wanted to play, with subs becoming even more powerful. Shifting from 3 bars and a sub to 2 bars and a sub and 2 subs. Sorry, so more of a 50-50 split. Once we did that, we started.
4 minus 1.
Yeah, 1 3. Quick maths. So we've made that change, and we saw a lot of success still. We're not creaming people as much, but we're still consistently winning, consistently doing it. The first 2K, we didn't drop a respawn, and we dropped 1 S&D. We did get smoked in that S&D. I think it was to TK, but we still won that series 3-1. Yeah, TK, I actually played with Kenny, the newer player. Well, he's been around for a while, but more like kind of a standout player for them currently. I played with him yesterday in some custom matches, and he's a nice guy.
You should send scrims.
And they're going to be an extremely talented team, and I'm excited. I like those guys. I think they'll all be good. Kenny is a nice guy, such a just cool dude. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do. Anyway, back to OpTic. Their 2K performances have been insane. They had a close... They lost 1 S&D to kind of like an S&D star team and creamed them in the respawns. So that was like, what are you going to do? Then they came very, very close against Rise to losing on map 5. So that was our closest series. And then we only dropped 1 more map against... Wait, did we drop another map? No. We then beat MB 3-0 and we beat LG 3-0. So we only dropped, 3 maps that whole 2K again, and then the semifinals and finals, we swept 2 of the best teams in the game right now. I mean, Envy has been a bit more shaky. I guess I wouldn't say they're one of the best teams right now, but I definitely think they have the talent for it.
They have Hook and...
It's going to be interesting, though. The reason that Hook was such a good player in AW was he had insane movement. He's good at advanced movement games. Look at him in Halo. Look at him in AW. He's still good at boots on the ground. I just don't think he's going to be as phenomenal as he was in like AW. Like AW, he was one of the best players. In boots on the ground, I think he's going to be interesting. I still think extremely talented kid. He will adjust. I just don't know if they're going to be the best of the best. I also think having a Temp has an ego, man. I've heard that before too, yeah. I think he's like, we should be winning championships with this team. And I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I don't think those 4 players will be the best team at any point in this game. Could they steal a championship? Maybe. I don't think there'll ever be a point in this game where we'll be like, that is the best team, unless they make a change. But other than that, other teams that have looked good, obviously Envy, E-United, have looked good in scrims, but had some shaky 2Ks, so I don't know. TK, obviously. LG, probably going to be our main competition for the start of the year. Then you've got, obviously, the likes of EG. Roster looks solid, but haven't been performing, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do. So just keep an eye out for those teams. It's going to be interesting to see what happens going into Dallas. something that excites you so much is Seth playing on a 2-bar and still slaying.
I know. I'm doing really well, man.
He's not. I hate you, scump. Whatever. I hate you. He's been able.
Okay.
He's been able to do crazy stuff in COD. Like if you look at like IW, he was not slaying online, and then he'd get to LAN and just demolish. I mean, he had, what was it? I don't remember. Was it ESWC? I think he had MVP, or like some event he had MVP last year. He will get onto LAN and he's going to demolish in this game. You can already tell. Like he's on a 2-bar and he's doing well, but he's not the best in the team. I think it's going to be interesting with Karma, Crim, and then obviously LAN Scump is going to be crazy. I think Formal, it's weird seeing him go from such as dominant Slayer to more of like just another player on the team. I wouldn't say he's a weak link. They're all absolutely dominant, but I think he's not as much of a Slayer as he used to be, and I think it's going to take a bit of adjusting for him. In Ghost, he was still amazing, but I think it's going to be a bit of an adjustment, getting there, finding his role on the team again. Crim and Karma, boots on the ground guards, I think they're just going to be insane this year. Scump, obviously, as well. I think it's just going to take a bit of time for Formal to adjust and find his role on the team, you know? Obviously, you already have players on the team who have teamed together. You have Crim and Karma who have played together, so they already have that boots on the ground chemistry. Then you've got Scump, he's just gonna slay it in any game mode that he ever plays. And then you just have Formal that has to figure out where his role is on the team. So this team is gonna be incredible this season, and I'm just interested to see what they can do on LAN. And unfortunately, I can't go to MLG Dallas this year. It's during my final weeks for college. So I'm going to be taking exams then. But I'm stoked, and I'm going to be watching that event for sure all weekend. Hopefully, we can pull out a win for the Green Wall.
Damn, dude. Okay, yeah, you do know what you're talking about with all that stuff.
Yeah, I keep up pretty closely.
I have a question for you. How do you
sure.
think of Gridiron as the COD game mode? Because
Okay, yeah, game modes.
Real quick, because I was watching and they were playing Gridiron, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's uplink, and they threw the ball, and I look at the score, I'm like, they have 3 points?
Yeah.
And then they dunk it, and it's 7, so I'm like, they're
7.
trying to make it football? I'm like,
Okay, yeah.
it's cool and all, but
I think the point system works, oddly. I think the point system works because of a boots on the ground game. Doing 2-1 doesn't work because dunks are so incredibly hard to get without advanced movement. Advanced movement and payloads, you're able to kind of sneak like 2 points out. But like with 7 points, you have to either get 3 throws or a dunk. So like throws are significantly less. So I think the scoring works. I was very hesitant. I was CTF 100% of the way, always. But as a spectator, I find Gridiron way more interesting, and I do find it competitive. As a player, CTF is the more competitive game mode. CTF is just a boring game mode to watch sometimes, because with the stalemates you get into, and like those situations you get into, it becomes, with those standoffs, it can get boring. But as a player, I think CTF is definitely the better game mode. I'd like to keep them both. Originally, I was definitely 100% CTF, but I think boots on the ground, Gridiron works way better than I thought it would, and it's really fun to watch as a spectator. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I really don't. So
you think Gridiron's going to be in, but do you think they're going to continue with CTF? I was listening to part of Hardpoints, and I didn't get to that section. I wanted to get to that. But do you think that they're going to keep CTF in there or no? They got rid of it in Advanced Warfare. They had it and they got rid of it. I know.
I think they'll keep it, and I think they'll do both on a rotation. I would like them personally. I'd rather be watching Gridiron, and OpTic's very, very good at Gridiron, but they're also very, very good at CTF. So I don't really know what they should do. But either way they go, I'll be happy with, honestly. I think they're both competitive modes. I think Gridiron's more interesting to watch, but if OpTic's winning, I mean, I like watching it. So, I think it's hard to say. There's a lot of talented teams out there that can play both game modes. So, I don't know. Great. I think that we have options, and I don't know the right answer. I couldn't tell you. It's such a complicated topic where so many different people have different views. So
Because do we know when the first event is?
the first event is MLG Dallas, and that is.
You said it's during your finals week.
It's during my finals week. MLG Dallas is let me pull it. I have the dates here.
December 20th.
December 8th.
Oh, 8th. Oh, your finals week
December
is
8th.
early.
Yeah. Mine ends. My school ends the 3rd, and then I have finals weeks the next week. So.
Wow, I have school up till like the 22nd or something.
Tragic.
But yeah, so like we just gotta wait for like the actual first LAN to see how they do. As of right now, they're doing really well, and although it's online, a lot of the times like the teams that are doing well online are the ones that do well on LAN as well.
And usually as OpTic, we usually do better on LAN than we do online. So
except the first day.
Except the first event, you
Not-
mean? Oh, you mean like Fridays?
First day.
Yeah.
No Fridays.
Fridays are not great for us. I mean, we did better in IW with Fridays, but especially Black Ops 3 and AW. Ugh.
There's two things you count on: OpTic not doing well on Fridays, and Clayster falling off the map.
Exactly.
In advanced movement.
Exactly. In advanced movement, yeah. So maybe we'll change that. I mean, we changed our champs curse, so who knows?
Yeah. So I may have missed the event. I know that the Gears team has still been winning.
They won an event
Yeah.
they won an event. Okay, so there's been a big rivalry here. So I don't know how many people know about it, but there was Ghost Gaming were talking a lot of trash on Twitter to our players, and IC was still suspended. So we went into an event with a stand-in that they literally just met. They didn't barely know him. They barely knew his name, let alone had they played with him.
So they
They go into this event.
I knew they had him as a stand-in, but they didn't.
I don't remember how much I don't know if they scrimmed or not, but they barely knew this dude. I'm like, if they did scrim, it was barely at all, and they managed to go in and win the event. So that's just showing the talent of this team. They they beat Ghost in the winners final, and then they continue to beat them in the grand final. 2-1, 2-1, I think. So, I mean, that just shows the caliber of this team, and I mean, who's winning isn't going to change. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, so they're still doing well. I tried watching, but I didn't get the update for that, which is something else I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Pertaining to OpTic updates. So with the new expansions of OpTic, we have a new social media manager.
Yep.
I believe she goes by the name Shark.
Which isn't Joey.
And everyone's pissed about Joey. And you may know him as OpTic Update, who has for years been the Twitter account where if you want to know when does OpTic play, that's a Twitter account you follow for all the updates on OpTic. And I remember back in the day, he used to give like in COD like every like 2-minute updates, like OpTic is now up by 20 points in hardpoint, or
definitely.
1 round or 6,
especially if they weren't streamed.
Yeah, and so like he's been doing a lot of work for free.
And it's always been such high quality work, dude.
Yeah, and so a lot of people were pissed because they got a social media manager, which wasn't Joey. Now I know there's a lot of heated debates in this. I haven't talked to you yet, Jordan, so I don't know your position. I'm going to give my position first.
Do it.
But I think Joey is great. Now, I think what the problem stems from is what people want from the social media accounts are the updates. You know what I mean? Like, people complaining, like, OpTic hasn't been that active on social media as much. I will admit they haven't been. You know, I'd say about 3 months ago, they started getting a bit more active, but there's still a lot of stuff they're missing. But the thing is, they also don't want to be giving updates every time a team plays because now they have like 8 teams, and there's online games all the time, so they won't be flooding their account. So they maybe they do want a second account, and so I think from that people want these updates, so they just wish Joey had it because Joey's been doing all this work with OpTic Update for free, and they wish they paid him
and rewarded him. Yeah.
But I will say the social media manager title is more than that. So that person is going to be doing a lot more stuff, like, I don't know, maybe not just Twitter, but like if they have Facebook, if they have a Twitter account, you know what I mean, interacting with the people, taking it. I mean, like, I know it's not like like a title. You know what I mean? It's not like a video game social media manager. Those players get flat. Those people get flack for anything that goes wrong. They take the brunt of it. So it's not just tweeting updates and whatnot. And I'm not going to say that he's not doing a lot of work, because it actually takes a lot out of you to keep up with everything, have all this stuff organized, tweet it out the correct times, not miss anything. And Joey's just been doing a super good job at that. And people are just kind of pissed that he hasn't gotten that. And people use it all the time, and they just want to get paid for it. And I think that's where it is. So I think he should get paid for it too. Like, I think he should get some recognition. But like, with a social media manager, they can do that too. Like, if I was a social media manager, right, and not doing updates, and they said, Seth, this is your new task. We're not paying you anymore, but you have to update every game that's played. I'd be like, okay, like that's part of my job. So is Joey qualified for that? Because this new social media manager, she's had years of experience doing this with other orgs. Joey isn't qualified for all that, I don't believe. But I do feel bad for him that he's doing all this work for free. So maybe they pay him like $100 a month or whatnot, keep it on. Maybe they like give him some money and have him take over that account, which they really don't need, because they could just create their own account and have thousands of followers anyway.
Yeah.
But there's a big problem with that. Jordan, I'm not sure your position.
I'm not up in arms about it because of what Joey said on Reddit. He's like, my time will come. So obviously, I think something is going to happen with him. I think social media manager may not be his role, but maybe working with social media team will happen. I do agree with experience. Maybe he's not experienced enough to do all the roles, but I also feel like he could learn, especially how long he's been working with social media. I mean, you've seen people like Hitch tweet about him before, be like, he is extremely talented and does a good job with social media. He doesn't get enough recognition, and I think he should. And I agree with that. I think he has the talent, and I think he could learn, if anything. And I think now's the time for OpTic to take him under their wing, kind of, and train him into what he's been doing for so long. He has a lot of experience with like the basics of it. Let him learn. Give him the opportunity, and I think they will. I think they're just trying to find what's right for him. So I think people shouldn't be so worried about it. I'm sure if anyone should be worried about it, is Joey, and he hasn't showed any significant concerns about it. So I think his time will come. Something will happen. OpTic aren't just going to leave him out. People in OpTic have given him recognition, so that means they know he exists, and they know the time he's putting in. So something will happen. Just give it time. I think people just need to be patient.
Also, checks and balances. You know what I mean? Hex goes to Infinite Esports. They're talking. We need a social media manager. What about Joey? Who is Joey? He's this guy that tweets his stuff for free. Well, you know what? I know someone that has years of experience being a social media manager. There's checks and balances there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's give and take with it. And so they're going to have to hire the person that Hex might not want to. Because like Hex said before, I want people in the green wall, you know what I mean, to take these positions. You know, Hitch was part of the green wall before he made Vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do think that OpTic needs that account. You know, the OpTic Update account. I think that's what people want. You know what I mean? So there's people that are esports fans. You know what I mean? So they have the Score Esports, which is supposed to update them, not after the first pistol round, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to update them on these different teams, but not all of them are on there. But having one that updates you every time OpTic plays. Maybe you don't follow a sport, but you want updates. And let's say you don't follow PUBG, but like, they won tonight or something. That's what people want. And is it something that the social media manager should be doing? I don't think so. What should someone get in return for doing that work, though? It is a lot of work. He's put so much time into it, but I mean, technically, the time he's put into it technically doesn't matter. I know that's like almost like, what are you saying? But like in realism, from here on out, if they said, hey, we want you to do this the OpTic way, pretty much what you're doing now, but just don't like hurt the OpTic brand, we'll pay you. From there on out, it's what he does from there. So in the past, kind of doesn't matter, I mean, besides experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Agreed.
So they're not going to like retro pay him, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So they need that account, and if they want someone to run it, I think Joey should. You know what I mean? I think that would be a good idea. But what should he get for that? Should he get compensation? Should they say, we're going to give you $10,000 a week? No. Is $100 a month enough? Probably I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, some people can make $100 a month working at $100 a day working at a job, depending on how long they're working and what type of job they have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But do they pay him $500 a month? You know, that's something that you can just give your social media manager to do. It's
Either
very
way,
touchy subject.
yeah, OpTic will figure it out, and whatever they do will be fair. It's just gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, but I just want to touch on that because that was a lot of debate, and like you said even like Hitch is given recognition. I think Hitch and Aaron like in the on the Reddit, they were like F for respect and
Press F for respect.
Press F. But yeah, so they recognize it. And I do wish he was able to get something for it. What, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we just went over that a little bit. I know it was a hot debate online, but that should come and work out in the future. Maybe that does work out for him with all the talk about it and how much people actually like Joey and that being vocalized now. That might help him. But yeah.
Definitely.
And I think one of the last things we want to talk about is the PUBG team. So that's another thing. People weren't really sure about the PUBG team and how it is as an esport because it's very RNG. It's very random with the circles, how the plane lands, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about you, but if you guys watched the first event for PUBG or even the H1 Invitational, even though it wasn't like extremely competitive, it was a good spectator sport. You know what I mean? I liked PUBG in the fact that how some people like WWE. You know what I mean? It's not real wrestling, but there's the story behind it. It's the environment you go in there. And so when you have all these people that are streamers playing, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I watch this guy all the time, or this guy like just went after this kill even though it was bad to teabag him. You know what I mean? Like it creates this funny, fun environment. And so I like the sport in that aspect. I'm not sure how it is getting these people that are just really good at it. I think it's something that can be tested. I'm not sure how it will be just because I am someone that hates unbalanced things in games. And the fact that it's RNG and I guess everyone can jump out the plane at the same time, but if the circles were predetermined when you jumped out the plane, it might make it fair. So it's touchy. As far as the OpTic team goes, they've been doing pretty well in the Division. I was in Baja Walker's chat and he was really cool. I asked him to explain that so during the qualification process for the most recent event, which they didn't qualify for, you had to place top 4 in 3 games straight because it was a qualification for a qualification for a qualification. And they came first in 3 games, but the last one they didn't, and so they didn't qualify. And they seem to be a really good team. The first online match that they did play, it seemed I believe they won out of the 3 games. It's a best of 3. It's kind of weird in that aspect. And then sometimes they place 9th and 12th. But I'm not sure if that's even bad, placing 12th in a random game like that.
I feel it just needs consistency, honestly. Because right now you could place anywhere, anytime. You could be the best team in the world and just get unlucky, you know? I think that's what they're trying to bring. I think that's what they're trying to bring to it. And I'm not saying it doesn't have any consistency. I'm just saying, compared to other esports, there needs to be a bit more consistency. And I feel like it will come. It just is not there yet.
Yeah, it's very random. But at least the guys seem pretty cool on the team. So you could at least watch them for being OpTic and then watch them for that spectator aspect. You know what I mean? Watch them to watch them, maybe not watch the esport. Because like I said, I like the events. I like how the fun environment of it. And it's a very, very popular game, so I understand why teams are doing it. It blew up out of nowhere. It's not the first Battle Royale game. It's technically pre-release still. I think it's the most sold game on Steam now. It's crazy, and so I understand why they went for it. Took a gamble. Works out. But again, it's the OpTic thing, a small family thing. And now, I don't want to turn into Envy. Envy is a big name, but it seems like they just get
seem
teams,
drop a robotic teams, organization
pick it up, almost. Drop teams. You know what I mean? And it sucks. They have a cool logo and cool brand, and but. So,
I feel Envy is just what it kind of shows is Envy was made as an esports organization, esports brand. OpTic was started as a content brand, and as they evolved, one added some content, the other one added a lot of esports. It just kind of shows that one is far superior. Having that content and that like connection instead of just like envious. Almost feels like a robot of an organization led by
Envy a lot. I've wanted
led
to.
by a CEO who is very salty a lot of the time.
Dude, he places second in everything. I would be too.
Yeah,
And it's
but
always
anyway,
behind OpTic.
I don't want to touch on Astro too much.
What was that? I'm sorry, I cut out.
I don't want to focus on Astro too much, but he's a nice guy. He's just very competitive.
Yeah. But like I was saying, it's just more change. You know what I mean with that.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out. I mean, if it's a team, if it's just a team that's, if the game's not competitive, you know what I mean, and everyone knows that, it's another thing. Maybe we'll pull out of it, or maybe we'll keep those players and people watch for OpTic. I mean, that's one of the great things about OpTic. People watch OpTic for OpTic. I mean, like, I know when I started watching, when I first saw a competitive COD game, they said OpTic is playing against this team. I'm like, oh, I know the team OpTic. You know, I kind of call that as my home city.
Yeah.
And like other orgs aren't like that. And so I think that's why OpTic is such a great, strong fan base, and why I'm really excited for this new growth that we're getting, and why even though there's change, I'm hopeful, because OpTic fans, although people have negative connotations with them, because some people are toxic and annoying.
That's what happens when you have the largest esports brand in the world. Every brand has toxicity, but when you're so huge, there's more of them. You know, it's just the growth. You know, so. It is what it is.
It's just a great time to be an OpTic fan. A lot of it look forward to. Like Jordan said, if you don't follow all the games, you don't have to. Support them if they win. You know what I mean? If there's a world championship that they're in, watch it if you want to, obviously. But you know, you have a team to support, and you can. And so there's gonna be more people join, which I'm excited for. Like TSM, we're coming, and I think that, like, besides Reddit, I think we might be the biggest fan base. I mean, I know they have more Reddit followers, but
for now,
I mean, a lot of our fans come from COD, so they don't go on PC too much, so maybe they don't have.
I mean, we have a way larger Twitter following. We have double their Twitter followers. I was looking at this yesterday. If you look at the Overwatch League, League of Legends League, my bad. If you look at the LCS, looking at the teams who are in the NACS. NACS. Yeah, exactly. Looking at those teams, obviously some of them are brand new because they've been built by people like the teams like the Golden State Warriors or the Cleveland Cavaliers, like 100 Thieves. OpTic has the largest media following by miles. Like, it's not even close.
OpTic number 1?
Yeah. Like, TSM and Cloud9 are the closest. Cloud9 has, like, 500K? TSM has 1.5. OpTic has 3.25 or something like that million.
Which is why I knew we were going to get a league spot, because one of the things they said we need a team that will contribute, that we can contribute to help build, and will contribute to esports and the LCS.
Yeah.
And you know, like, OpTic being such a great organization, it's actually crazy how they've grown. If you look at the story of, like, Hector, you know what I mean, and like as the whole organization has grown, it's actually, like, almost surreal, dude. Like, and like, if you've been a long time OpTic fan, like, growing up with that, just think about it. It's absolutely insane. And if you haven't, if you're new, welcome, dude. Welcome to the Green Wall. It's phenomenal, dude.
It's gonna be a fun ride, boys.
But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this episode.
Yeah.
It's I'm not sure how long we went. We went for a little while. We're going to put timestamps. You probably already saw them. But in future episodes, we're also going to do that. I think we touched on everything. One thing we didn't touch on is we're going to do this months ago. The jerseys came in. I have mine. Jordan's wearing his.
I'm wearing mine.
I'm not.
I also have mine.
I have mine.
OpTic Gaming Turtle Beach headset. I'm repping everything. This headset's incredible. I'm just going to tell you guys real quick. I have an Astro headset.
Hashtag
I can
not
show you
sponsored.
literally right here. I'm not sponsored. Yeah, I'm definitely not sponsored. I have an Astro headset here. Turtle Beach nailed this headset. I've had two. This is my second one. I rebought it for this because OpTic. They, in my opinion, are way better than Astros. I've had Astros. They're great headsets. Still top of the line headset, but Turtle Beach have nailed this headset. The Elite Pros are incredible. They're super comfortable, great sound quality, perfect for gaming. So I sound like I'm sponsored by them. But if you need a headset, honestly, from my honest opinion, not being sponsored, get it and get the Elite Pros. Great headset. Go for it.
Oh. Well, after that, a quick commercial break.
Yeah. After that.
But yeah. I happen to be actually wearing another piece of OpTic wear. No, I think I had the same shirt OpTic Karma has, where I noticed it before, but in the GOAT commercial for Turtle Beach.
Yeah, same shirt.
I think I had the same shirt. It looks different. I think it's just the lighting, but pretty sure it's the same shirt. But yeah, kind of went off on a tangent there. But definitely, click on the links in the description. Goes to our Twitter. You can subscribe. We have it all down there. Like
you can see my Twitter. I don't know, somewhere around here. Follow me, Lightbulb Gaming.
Follow down there. But yeah, maybe I'll throw Ben's in there. He is gonna be back. I was kidding earlier.
He will be back.
Yeah, huge.
We will try and do more of these 2 people ones if not all 3 of us are available, because it still works well. I mean, I still think we had a good discussion today. You guys probably still hopefully enjoyed the podcast. If you guys have any interesting questions or any suggestions for the podcast, put them in the description. We have some stuff we want to do, guests we want to bring on, some changes I think that will come in the future. We're just trying to make this podcast the best that it can be. We know we've been a bit inconsistent. We're going to try and make those changes to try and create some consistency. We all are busy, but we definitely think it's important that we get these out to you. So
especially now more than ever.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely important. It's going to be extremely fun because like I enjoy making this, right? So like that's one of the reasons like I enjoy doing it, and
so much fun. Yeah.
Now having time, I'm going to be enjoying making it even more with so much to talk about. And we're going to have more stuff to talk about, because talking about online leagues is going to be completely different. But talking about LAN tournaments that are going to be happening like every week now that we have 8 teams. I think we might actually have the most esport teams now. I know we have them.
Very possible.
We have them in the like the top 5 esports, and I think we have them in like the most games. I'm not sure. I know some teams have like multiple Smash players and stuff. So I'm not
exactly.
But it's just insane.
We're growing. So
yeah, we're growing. But yeah, like I said, follow the links in the description. Me, Ben, Jordan's stuff, OpTic Topic stuff. Leave any comments you want in the comments or on the Reddit post. We're going to post this onto Reddit. You can email us at theoptictopic@gmail.com. I'll put that in the description too. But like we have some plans in the future, and hopefully this will grow even more. Super excited for the future, guys. I think that's it. Till next time.
Good boy.